Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 111th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Revel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm great, Cameron. How are you?
I'm doing well. Kyle, are you doing great because it finally got cold and you love the cold, awful weather here in Springfield?
Yeah, I'm great because of that. But I also am great because literally as you were saying your introduction, I get a phone notification.
Yes.
A phone call that Le'Veon Bell is headed to Kansas City.
Is he really? Wow.
He's going to be a Kansas City Chief.
Breaking news.
And I just sold off Clyde Edwards-Helaire in my fantasy league like 2 days ago.
Wow.
So
couldn't have timed that much better.
And that's why I'm great.
Wow. That's incredible.
Also,
yes.
Regarding football season, Missouri won a football game.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And I'm also great because of that.
Oh, yeah, we're about to talk a lot about that, especially considering, spoiler alert, there's no game next week. We're going to spend a healthy chunk of time talking about this LSU win. But, Kyle, settle down. Before we do that, we do have some news.
You know I get a little amped sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Don't we all? We do have some news. And we'll start it off with a little bit of basketball news. And we got bad news for everyone, especially us. We were looking forward to it.
You love spilling that bad news right off the bat, don't you?
No border war this year. No KU-MU basketball game. We're supposed to be at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri.
Not the Sprint Center.
Don't call it the Sprint Center.
Yeah, that's outdated news. But, this actually really sucks. I was really looking for – this was the highlight of this basketball season was playing Kansas in a year that it seemed like it was very realistic that Missouri could win. And it sounds like from what I've heard that Kansas was the reason this game will not be played.
Of course.
I think this was going to count as a home game for them, so obviously they don't want to play the game in front of a small crowd and lose out on the revenue, I suppose, when it's their turn to host the game. And also, I'm sure Kansas realizes that they may not be as good this year as they've been in the past. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. But regardless, they're scared. They're absolutely scared. That's all it is.
They're scared and money. Of course, that's just chalk it up to that. It seems like they could have figured something out. I think. So I hadn't really thought about the revenue thing that, yes, it's technically a neutral site, but Kansas gets the revenue from it. What if Mizzou was just like, we'll split the non-revenue of this game, and why don't we just split 50-50 all the Sprint Center, all the times that we're at the T-Mobile Center, we'll just split it 50-50. And so neither one of us loses out this time. Or we both lose out equally because we're splitting everything 50-50.
Bill Self cannot be reasoned with, Cam. Get your rationality out of here.
You think Bill Self had that much to say on this?
Probably, honestly. He's the overlord that is Kansas basketball.
I can only hope that one day we'll have a Mizzou basketball coach so successful that he can just dictate every aspect of the athletic department. That would be a fantastic thing to see, actually. So
yeah, well, and I don't really know how this works either, but because apparently this year was supposed to be the Kansas home game. They were the home team. So next year the series will continue or begin, I guess, but it'll start at Allen Fieldhouse, which doesn't make any sense to me. So
they're not just pushing it back.
They were okay. So
I'm asking you.
Well, I guess that must be what it is. They're just beginning the series next year, and Kansas is the home team. But not at the T-Mobile Center. Yeah.
Huh. So strange.
How many of these did they have? Do they have
quite a few?
6?
6, I think.
I think
and so. It was 2 home, 2 at Kansas, 2 neutral.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know.
Man, better get rid of this one.
Yeah, I guess Kansas just needed time to rebuild a little bit, get a couple of recruiting classes under their belt, so they can be competitive. I guess that was probably the main reason. Also basketball related, Kyle. You're going to have to explain this one to me. Winter athletes have been granted another year of eligibility by the NCAA. It is confirmed. We talked about a couple weeks ago there was going to be a vote. We weren't sure how that went. Well, they voted to extend eligibility for all winter athletes.
This year.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have an answer for how this is going to work for football. We don't have an answer for how it's going to work for basketball, and this is probably one of the strangest years that it could happen for Mizzou basketball, considering the like mass exodus of players we would normally have to graduation and all that stuff. I mean, we're supposed to have like 6 or 7 new players probably come in next year.
Yeah, so who are we actually looking at? So Tillman, Mitchell Smith, Drew Buggs. That's 4.
Mark Smith. Did you say
Mark
that?
Smith.
And most likely Xavier Penson, but that may not matter anyway, regardless.
Yeah. But those 5 were going to be out of eligibility.
Seniors, yeah.
And now they're just not.
Yeah.
So.
And some of those guys, I'd love to see them come back. And so what does that look like for for Drew Smith? No way in the world am I saying, yeah, just move on, buddy. It's time for you to go.
Right.
And does Konzo Martin actually have to have that conversation with him for the sake of his recruiting class coming in?
Yeah, and what does it mean for, like, Jeremiah Tillman, which there was actually news, or, Tillman was asked by a reporter, now that basketball practices are kind of getting underway, what feedback he got from the NFL draft committee.
NFL?
Yeah. NBA draft committee. And he was apparently told, hit the trailing 3, run the floor more, get more rebounds, which are things we'd love to see. If that's really what's going to make the difference in him being draftable by NBA standards, is he really going to be there after one more season? I tend to think no. But what is it really beneficial for him personally to stick around Columbia a 5th year? I would be great for the basketball team, I think, not having to just rely on Jordan Wilmore in the post after Tillman moves on. But
it's very difficult to answer that question right now.
None of it makes any sense.
All of it is difficult to answer right now.
Yeah.
A year, or I guess even, what would it be, 8 months or so from now, they would be making that decision.
Yeah.
A lot can happen between now and then.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea.
If Mitchell Smith returns for an 18th season,
he would be like 35 by the time he would actually leave.
Would he be the player out of all Mizzou players in the history of Mizzou basketball? Would he be the player that has spent the most calendar days on the team?
Yes. And I don't think it'd be close.
No, probably not.
He would even beat Kevin Puryear.
Yeah, Puryear was here for a long time, but Puryear didn't sit out because of injury and then potentially have an extra year of eligibility. Man,
that's nuts.
There was honestly like 3 different times where I thought Mitchell Smith might transfer. And he's still here, and he might have an additional season on top of his normal 4 years of eligibility. That's crazy. I don't think we have to worry about the record books as much on this one. Obviously, if you've been listening to this podcast, I'm very concerned about Larry Roundtree rewriting all the records for Mizzou football. And that would hurt me a little bit, but I could probably get over it if he wanted to return for another season. I'm trying to think if there's anything going on in Mizzou basketball related.
Aren't you happy just to know you're watching history?
With Roundtree?
Yeah.
No, because is that history? No, it's
absolutely
completely fake.
No, it's happening.
I cringe a little bit when I find out that the player that he just passed on the all-time rushing list, the bowl game yardage doesn't count towards his total.
It's never gonna be an even playing field.
It really won't be.
Why should it change now?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you make an okay point there, but just the inner like stat nerd, history record book nerd, it just makes me worried when I see stuff like that. It doesn't mean anything at some point. Yeah. Oh well.
I don't think there's any Mizzou basketball players that are, however, fighting to like break any records. Is
True.
What I think you were.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Your point you were trying to make there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So I guess we'll find out much more about that later. I'm very intrigued, very interested to see what comes of that.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like, I have no idea. I don't know.
All right, then we will pivot to football. Before we get to the game, there's some football-related news. I guess we'll talk about the fact that there is not going to be a game next week. The game that was supposed to happen with Vanderbilt has been postponed, which is terrible considering Vanderbilt is pretty awful, and it looked like it was going to be a nice opportunity for Mizzou to get back-to-back wins. So that's been postponed. Florida versus LSU has been postponed due to Florida not being able to field a team according to SEC requirements for COVID. Also COVID-related, Nick Saban has tested positive.
Lou Saban.
Lou Saban. Now, wish him the best. Hope he's healthy and safe. And then also related to that, I saw where he will not be allowed to coach from home via technology while he's in quarantine. Did you see that?
A hospital bed?
Hospital bed.
It's been done.
Yes. Yes, I believe you're referring to Hugh Freeze coaching his first game at Liberty from the confines of a hospital bed.
Interesting you knew that right off the bat. That it's his first game at Liberty.
That's not something you forget, Kyle. Anyway, did you know that Nick Saban's not allowed to coach?
I didn't know. I didn't know that. No, I hadn't heard that.
I saw a headline that said that, and I'm just taking it for gospel.
Oh, so. You didn't read the article? You just read the headline?
Yes.
Oh, that's awful.
Unless the article said, just kidding, he can, then I'm just going to believe the headline.
I also think I saw that his daughter said that he's asymptomatic and is feeling okay. So that's good to hear.
That is good to hear. We want all the coaches healthy.
Yes, the dynasty will continue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But it's not looking good for SEC football right now with COVID-19 just kind of running roughshod through this conference.
It's a mess.
It doesn't seem like it's the end of the world right now. Things are still moving forward. That Vanderbilt game for Missouri has been tentatively scheduled for December 12th.
Yeah. So seems really late, but obviously with the late start and all that, it'll make sense. But yeah, I'm concerned about Missouri's game against Florida now. I think that's very much in jeopardy, and that would be really unfortunate. I almost felt like it was maybe a blessing in disguise that the Vanderbilt game got postponed because we get that extra week of rest and another week to prepare for a very good Florida team. But now it's looking like we might get a little bit too much rest, and because I don't know what happens if Missouri can't play two weeks in a row.
Well, we're going to get to find out what does an Eli Drinkwitz team, how do they look after time off? You know, we have always talked about how Barry Odom teams never looked good after they had any sort of break from football. And now we got a bye week, and we'll see how they respond if they get to play Florida.
I legitimately think that, like, really quickly, just another Barry Odom respective moment here. I legitimately think that was like a sign in my mind that made me think Barry Odom was in over his head. It was like that's like a telltale sign of a good coach.
Yeah.
Is whenever your teams have time to prepare, how do they look?
Yeah. And
Barry Odom teams always looked the complete opposite of good. So
yeah, the opposite of prepared.
Yes. So we'll see. We'll see how old Coach Drinkwitz does.
Let's see what else we have here. One CJ Boone is transferring from Mizzou football. Wide receiver. I guess was a redshirt freshman, but he was opting out anyway, and now he'll be continuing his football career elsewhere.
Yeah, I obviously don't know exactly why he's transferring, but it could definitely, you could see realistically, he was probably watching the game on Saturday. He had not really cracked the depth chart yet, and seeing the guys ahead of him on the depth chart completely go off against LSU, kind of who were supposed to be the reserve wide receivers, now playing very well as starters, may have seen his path to playing time get a little bit muddier than it was even before. Regardless of the reason he is transferring, seems like he had a very difficult decision leaving Mizzou and probably really enjoyed his time here. Seems like a likable guy. Wish him the best.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about those wide receivers that were making plays here shortly. Any other news you can think of? Anything late breaking we need to add in here? We talked about the Chiefs adding a running back. Okay, well, let's talk about this LSU game.
Let's do it.
Missouri won the game 45-41. Missouri scored in every quarter, at least a touchdown in every quarter of this game. I've talked about many moons ago on this podcast that if a team can score in every quarter, man, I really like their chances of winning said game.
It's good analysis.
Thanks. Mizzou, with the win, improves to 1-2 on the season, get their first win of the Eli Drinkwitz era. LSU falls to 1-2 and out of the top 25 for good. Goodbye, LSU.
It's a hot take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this win was really big. I mean, just for the mental, the mindset of now losing the Vanderbilt game, at least having to push it back. You're probably going to lose to Florida. I mean, it's a big deal that Missouri is not going to start off the season 0-4, 0-5. I mean, it just feels so good to have a win under the belt, and it's not Vanderbilt.
Yeah. A win under the belt, still having the opportunity to play Vanderbilt this season.
Exactly.
Is just great.
Yeah.
This was an exhilarating game to watch. I mean, it was a roller coaster. There were a handful of times where I thought Mizzou was done, that they were not going to be able to recover from just what I deemed back-breaking mistakes, and they did it.
Yeah.
They overcame adversity in a game and pulled out a win in a hotly contested matchup against a team that was scoring pretty much at will. We'll get to the goal line stand here at the end, but I don't know, where do you want to start here? I mean, I feel like we can't overstate how impressive this team was in just battling back from just terrible situations over and over again.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take another shot at the Barry Odom era here, but I mean, clearly this game we showed something that we had not shown for a long time, and that was the ability to overcome like back-breaking mistakes, and those mistakes were still there that we saw sometimes in a few years ago, some of the punt muffs and some of the fumbles and all that stuff, but just the ability to bounce back and not seem to be like completely bothered by it was definitely new.
Yeah, absolutely. And just actually pulling out the win. I mean,
yeah, that too.
Going back to the Kentucky game 2 years ago that Missouri lost in, I'll save that. I'll save that for when we talk about the goal line stand, because the parallels there are uncanny. Let's talk about this Mizzou offense, because I was worried. I was legitimately worried. We had 2 weeks of not a whole lot going on, and granted, LSU's defense is potentially awful.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. Mississippi State, obviously we know their quarterback broke the single game passing record in SEC play against this LSU defense. Then he was terrible against Arkansas, and now he's been benched. So he did that against LSU, and he's actually not great. And now they've given up 400 yards and 4 touchdowns to a redshirt freshman. They're not looking good, but
it's crazy whenever you throw 100% of the time. It's like teams figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
It's weird how that works.
Well,
but whenever the first game of the season, when nobody knows what you're going to do yet, it works out pretty well.
You think nobody knew that Mike Leach coached offense was going to throw the ball 800 times?
They should have known.
They should have known, but they did know, I would argue. And also, this is Bo Pelini, who coached against Mike Leach in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So he knew what was coming and just absolutely could not stop it. And Missouri took advantage of the same defense this week. Bazelak looked incredible. He continues to impress. He continues to look poised. I mean, he won the SEC Freshman of the Week award. Mm-hmm. I saw he won another National Quarterback award.
Yeah, he threw over 30 times and completed like 80% of his passes. That's absolutely mind-blowing.
29 of 34.
Yeah. 4 touchdowns, over 400 yards. I mean, that is a career day for any quarterback ever at any level. And
on any team, yeah.
Yeah, and he did that in his basically first full start in college. That's just crazy.
What would I'm putting the cart before the horse here, but I feel like he would have had some kind of 2-game record. Like he'd been looking at something special in Mizzou history if he would have had the opportunity to play Vanderbilt this week, combining the stats from those two. Probably would have been up there as far as a 2-game stretch for a quarterback in Mizzou history.
Yeah, Drew Lock put up some crazy numbers as well, but according to the announcers, Missouri hasn't had a good offense in years.
Yeah, they kind of forgot about Drew Lock.
Yeah, they did.
And the year he broke the SEC single-season touchdown record.
That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they had an okay offense there for a little while under Barry Odom.
Yeah, they did.
But speaking of the announcers, though, I mean, that was kind of a train wreck. And now, to their credit, they were calling this game from home.
I was going to say, did you realize they were like on Zoom?
I didn't until they showed them like sitting in their houses.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I did a double take.
I was cracking up when I saw that.
But to their credit, I wouldn't have realized it.
The audio quality, not with the words they were saying, but the sound of it was pretty good quality.
Yes.
So it probably had nothing to do with them. But
right.
You wouldn't have known they were on Zoom if you didn't see them in their homes.
Yes.
At the beginning of the game.
ESPN did something special there with that broadcast. They didn't have special announcers, though. I don't know.
SEC alternate channel.
Yeah, I know. They kind of had to scramble to put together something there.
They clearly found out they were calling a Missouri game 2 days before the game.
Yeah.
And then they found out that all the wide receivers were going to be reserve wide receivers, and they were like, oh, God, what do we do?
Yeah, they started looking at who's going to play, and then they got word that they were missing a lot of starters, and I would have just said, yeah, forget it. I'll call it like I see it.
That's what they did.
All right. Getting back on track here, talking about this Mizzou offense. We talked about Bazelak, how good he looked. The wide receivers, I mean, we had guys I literally didn't know, and I still can't tell you his name, unfortunately. Number 31.
Deontay Smith.
Yeah. He came out of nowhere and made some plays.
He's a walk-on. He's a guy that I knew nothing about a few weeks ago. I saw some like preseason Mizzou football Instagram content that they had put out, and I saw number 31 in multiple days was making a lot of plays on these videos. I'm like, who in the world is number 31? And I thought maybe it was just like a guy I knew that had a number change or something. But I think I, at some point, ended up finding his Instagram profile, and I still didn't know who he was. And then he has very much made a name for himself in actual Mizzou football games now. And I'm not sure that he is going to be a walk-on for much longer.
Next time you see somebody blowing up the Instagram videos, just give me a heads up so I just know who these guys are. I know I rely on you to be the more educated one as far as the football roster goes. So, but who would have thought that this guy was gonna? I mean, logically, what is he? 7th or 8th wide receiver?
I just thought it was one of those like spring game things where like somebody catches a touchdown and we think they're relevant and then we never hear them again. Yeah. I thought it was one of those kind of things, but it's apparently not.
Well, you could have had just an epic like prediction there if you were like, hey, watch out for this guy. Nobody would have remembered if he would have just never done anything.
Nobody would have remembered anyway, probably. But
true.
I'm making a prediction now. Deontay Smith is going to be a really good player. How about that?
How many catches he can have the rest of the season? You think?
I don't know. I'll put it at
more or less than 10.
More.
Okay.
15.
Ooh, that'd be impressive.
Write it down.
All right. Yeah. So no Kiki Chisholm, no Hazelton, and Jalen Knox though he did everything you could want. I mean, he's so versatile. Somebody on Twitter said that it seemed like Coach Drinkwitz has unlocked Jalen Knox.
Oh, 100%.
That just seems so obvious now. And it kind of just makes you wonder how the previous offensive coaches couldn't really figure out how to use him effectively. Now, his freshman year, he made some plays, but it just seems like they are using his athleticism just perfectly.
I think in comparison to the Eli Drinkwitz offense, the Derek Dooley offense was very vanilla, to put it as simply as possible. I don't think they were using anybody in the way that they're being used now. And maybe that's why it took a little bit of time to get the offense off the ground, is because I truly think that this offense is complicated. What do you think about the term eye candy? They were using that a lot. Does that bother you? I mean, I know what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Kind of the deception, the
right. I've heard motion. Eye candy. What else have I heard?
Window dressing.
Yes, I've heard that being used. I just prefer the term misdirection.
That works. That is exactly what it is.
Yeah. And I think
it was very effective on Saturday.
And even when it's not effective, it is an attempt at misdirection that just isn't working. Mm-hmm. So maybe if it's not working, those other terms just seem too negative for me. It seems like it's
eye candy.
Yeah. It seems like there's no substance to it.
Okay.
that it's just frivolous.
Okay.
And I'm saying it has a purpose and it is useful. And in this LSU game, the offense proved why they do all that stuff.
Yeah, so far Jalen Knox has been like the number one like benefactor from like this upgrade in an offensive scheme, and he's like shown displays of speed I didn't know he had. I knew he was a really talented guy, and I liked him as a recruit coming in, but he's been very impressive so far.
Yeah, 5 receptions for 56 yards in this one, as well as 3 rushes for 20 yards and a touchdown. So versatile. It kind of mirrors Tyler Beatty's game, actually. Just reverse the rushes and receptions. Beatty, 5 rushes for 39 yards and a touchdown, 3 receptions for 28 yards and a touchdown. Both of those guys, we hoped and prayed that Tyler Beatty would be used like this, and they're basically using Jalen Knox in the same way.
Yeah.
They're just, Knox isn't lining up in the backfield and just taking handoffs, but the versatility that they're showing with those two guys, that's exactly what I hoped for when I watched Appalachian State videos from last year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough to game plan for Missouri because they have so many weapons and they've used so many of them, and so many different guys have become involved. I guess I want to ask you this now. I mean, are Kiki Chisholm and Damon Hazelton now a little bit worried about their job security or their role in the starting offense? Or maybe let me ask you this: is their leash a little bit shorter maybe than it was before?
Well, perhaps it doesn't really matter. They don't really factor in my opinion, to the decision that's being made here. I don't think they were like so terrible that you just have to forget about them or be worried that they're not going to be able to perform. It's a travesty that we couldn't have seen those two go up against this, what I'll call a Swiss cheese LSU defense.
That's fair. Because
this is the kind of opportunity where you can just make plays, and when the defense can't stop the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th string wide receivers, I mean, some of these huge plays in this game. Micah Wilson caught a long touchdown pass. How do you pronounce his first name? Dove is his last name. Toski Dove. One of the very first offensive plays for Missouri was the flea flicker, and Dove takes it to the house, made an athletic play on the ball.
Honestly, out of anybody on Saturday, I thought Toski Dove looked like the guy that you cannot take off the field.
Yeah.
Like going forward.
Yeah. Obviously, Knox is going nowhere.
Right.
Yeah, you have to. Dove should be getting as many snaps as Chisholm and Hazelton.
I agree.
At minimum. I wouldn't mind seeing Micah Wilson out there. Maybe put him out there at punt returner.
Oh, I mean, you could think of the possibilities with Micah Wilson with trick plays and his ability to throw. He looked very athletic out there.
Yeah, he did not look like a former quarterback. When he caught that pass, like, I would not have recognized him based off of his body.
No, the only reason I knew it was him is because of his number.
Yeah.
But, like, wow.
Yeah. He looked like a specimen.
Great defense on that play too.
Right. Yes.
Like not another guy in the frame of the television screen.
Yeah, that was honestly one of those where it's like, is he too wide open that something bad's gonna happen?
I thought
here?
that he like overthrew him, or I thought he missed the throw actually at one point. It
was perfect,
so open.
Though. Yeah, that was 41-yard touchdown pass to Micah Wilson.
It's beautiful.
Man,
I love watching Connor Bazelak throw the ball.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit last week, but he just something about the touch he throws on the ball. Just it looks like it's just so beautiful. And it's so catchable.
Yeah, I agree. Chance Looper, another guy who made his mark.
Catch.
Yep, 1 catch. I still think he should have scored on that play. You got to use the open field to your advantage, especially when you got a blocker. But I'll cut him some slack. I probably could have scored there, but I'll cut him some slack.
Oh, you think so, huh?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks in a row. 2 guys making their first career catch in a crucial moment of the game. Logan Christopherson last week and Chance Looper this week.
Speaking of tight ends, Nico Hay caught a touchdown pass. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this, or if you disagree, that play where Bazelak faked the handoff on the jet sweep and then found Nico Hay over the middle, that looked to me just like Drew Lock faking a handoff and finding Alberto for a touchdown that we saw so many times when he was the quarterback. Hay did that like kind of pretend to block for half a second and then go out for the pass. Mm-hmm. That Alberto always he pretty much perfected that. and he would just be uncovered.
Was it this past week that they ran kind of the Andy Reid like tight end shovel pass?
Yes, yes.
That was beautiful as well. That was, I believe, to Nico Hay as well.
Yeah, that looked really good. Yeah, that looked like the Chiefs right there. Let's see. What else we need to talk about in this offense? How about Mr. Larry Roundtree? And, we know how good he is, but there just seems like there's some games where he just can't really get going. And in this one, from start to finish, he was making guys miss. He was breaking tackles. And when he had some space, he was just gobbling up yards.
He's looked excellent all year, really. And I always just kind of feel like he deserves a few more opportunities, and I think that just all is kind of the plan is of not looking too one-dimensional, but man, he has looked fantastic.
Yeah, in this one, 18 rushes for 119 yards. That's almost 7 yards per carry. If you're going to average over 6.5 yards per carry, I kind of want to see him run the ball 25 times.
Yeah.
Like, prove that they can stop him for no gain a few times.
Yeah. The only thing was Connor Bazelak was completing every single pass he threw also, and I would have loved to see more of that as well. So
both
just
teams,
like everything was working.
Both teams were scoring in a hurry in this one.
Absolutely. Before we're done talking about the offense,
yes,
let me give a shout out to this freaking offensive line who, they were like my number one concern coming into the season. I'm like, I don't even know who some of these guys are. They went through, a lot of them had COVID at some point. A lot of them have
disappointing unit last year.
They've lost a couple starters to injury. Hiron White is out for the year and has not played at all. I want to specifically shout out my boy Larry Borum. Okay, this dude is massive. I don't know his exact measurables, but I'm sure he's north of 300 pounds. He's probably 6'5". He's playing right tackle. And when I heard he was playing right tackle this year, I was like, there's no way this is going to work. And I'm sure he's a good player, but I was very concerned about this guy being mobile enough, athletic enough to play right tackle.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what Larry Borum's done so far. He's played all 208 snaps at right tackle this season. He's not allowed a single quarterback pressure. Not a single quarterback pressure.
That's not sack.
Yeah.
His
really
guy
impressive.
Is not even getting close to the quarterback.
Not even close. It's really impressive.
That's insane, honestly.
Yeah.
And yeah, for it to not be his natural position and this offensive line kind of just being cobbled together by who's healthy and available to play.
Yeah. The O-line has been really, really good.
Yeah, and obviously, Missouri as a team in this one, Beatty and Roundtree, Beatty almost averaged 8 yards per carry. So when two guys are doing it, making it look easy, ripping off big runs, it's not just the running backs that are making that happen. Same with the quarterback being so efficient. That's not all on him. Both of those things come back to the offensive line protecting and opening up holes in the running game. So yeah, honestly, it's one of those positions where if everything's going according to plan, you don't think about them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh yeah, we don't even have to think about the offensive line because they're doing so well.
Don't forget Michael Mietti.
Oh yes, Michael Mietti.
Yes.
Kyle, the special teams, it had some ups and some downs in this one. We'll talk about the downs first, and it involves returning punts or
sounds familiar.
Not being able to return punts, and it's like a joke now. It literally, for Mizzou fans over the last, feels like 75 years.
Nothing funny about it.
Yeah. It's a very unfunny joke at this point that the punt returners just can't hold on to the ball.
Yeah, clearly, he got in his own head after he did it the first time, but...
Of course, we're talking about Chris Abrams-Drain.
Yes, we
freshman, who, bless his heart, he was out there doing a job that probably not many people want to do.
Thankless job.
Yes. I want to take all the extra eligibility that the NCAA is handing out willy-nilly. I want to give it all to Rashad Floyd. I want him to return punts for Missouri for the rest of eternity. If he can't do it, then I'm
sure he could get a reverse waiver to come back and play. Might as well at this point.
Yes.
I'll ask him.
Ask him if he's up for it.
Yeah.
Or ask the NCAA if that's okay.
Both. I guess we'll have to do both.
All right.
But we'll make it happen. I like that idea. Okay, well, will Chris Abrams-Drain ever field another punt for Missouri?
I want to say no, but that's part of me just thinking that he shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I hate to just discard him. I mean, let him play another position. Let him play his normal position and be great. But I don't know if he's cut out for the punt return game. I feel like you can't get over. It's hard for guys to get over a one game like this.
Yeah. Well, that's why you play people like Vanderbilt, and it gives time to practice.
Yeah.
Maybe the reps don't mean as much, hopefully. But I think we'll see him out there again, and I think he's really talented. I think he will be really good at that job once he figures out how to catch the ball. And I 100% think it's all mental at this point. Like, what if I mess up again? What if I drop it again?
Mm-hmm.
That is probably terrifying, but he needs to get back out there. You need to say, hey, man, this is what you're here for, to make electric plays, to catch punts, and then to earn a spot as a dynamic wide receiver.
I'll be electrified if he just holds on to the ball.
Yeah. Fair catch 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
And Kyle, would you have said the same thing too about one Jonathan Johnson? Or maybe were you on the side of get him out of there, get somebody else back there?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think after Jonathan Johnson had shown time and time again, after like multiple years, I was definitely like, there was definitely a time where I was like, I never want to see him catch a punt ever again. There was definitely that moment, and maybe early on I was thinking like, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is not the same thing.
All right. Okay, we'll give him a second chance. We'll give him a second chance. We'll give him a third chance. I'm not giving him multiple years worth of chances.
Yeah, maybe not in like a big game. At least not right away.
Let him get his confidence back.
Exactly.
I still am in favor of go find the fastest person you can. Bring them onto the team solely just to return punts.
Mike Wilson looked pretty good.
Yeah, but what you have to do then is every practice, all they do is catch punts. All they do is catch punts over and over. I want 100 caught punts a day. Yes, from my sole punt returner.
They make you special teams coordinator. How funny would that be?
No.
Punt coordinator.
Punt return coordinator.
Specialist.
Catching
Yes.
coordinator.
And it's not that hard. You don't have to game plan.
Stand there and you're like, catch it.
Yes.
Don't drop it.
Yeah, all the coach needs to do is find, you know what? Forget about them being fast. I don't even want them to return it.
No, they don't need to be.
Fair catch every time. Catch the ball every time.
100%. There you go.
Or just don't put anybody back there. I would be okay with that.
I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but I might get to that point.
Max punt block.
Exactly. Go for the block. Down it where it lands. Let it be a touchback. Who cares?
Okay.
Just don't give it to the other team.
I agree.
All right. The special teams did do a couple good things, though, so we must mention that. They had a wonderful blocked field goal, and that was a huge play. And then our guy, Harrison Mevis.
Probably Mevis.
Okay.
Not sure.
I'll look it up sometime. I guess we'll go with Mevis. Kyle wants to do Mevis. Then he was 1 for 2. The miss, who cares? 56 yards. Yeah. But
he has my unconditional love.
yes, even the make, 52 yards. And it seemed automatic. Like, I honestly wasn't terribly worried that he was going to miss the 52-yarder.
No.
Which is a dangerous place to be going forward if you just think, yeah, he can make it. So I need to go back to assuming all the field goals are going to be missed, and then he will never disappoint me.
How about that fake punt? Did you like that?
Oh, man, I apparently had blocked that out of my memory. But
that was the single worst play of the whole game, in my opinion. What was it, like 4th and 9?
Yeah.
Like
they brought the
LSU,
offense out.
Or in their own territory.
Or they kept the offense out there to, look like they were going to go for it.
Yeah.
LSU called a timeout. So they brought the punt team out.
And then they just should have punted.
Yeah. And
you got them to use a timeout. That's like as good as you can get here.
Exactly. What more do you want?
Yeah. Kick the ball. Yeah, I mean, clearly they were calling this game from the get-go like we are going to use everything in our arsenal to win this game. Like all the trickery, all the flea flickers, and I mean they did like 2 different kinds of flea flickers in the first half, and like the fake punt and all this stuff. But I'm all for it if it works.
So the fake punt, we talked about the muffed punts, the fumble. There was another play, the Roundtree fumble, right? Basically
on like that 5-yard line.
Yes.
Yeah, that was awful.
So let me just put all these back to back. Fake punt fail at the Mizzou, basically at midfield, 47-yard line. Abrams drain, muffed punt at the Mizzou 25-yard line. Next play, LSU touchdown. Bazelak strip sack, Mizzou 31-yard line, LSU field goal. Roundtree fumble on the 5-yard line, LSU touchdown 2 plays later. Those plays, when you just give the other team the ball in such incredible field position, and LSU's offense is good. I mean, we got to talk about the fact that Miles Brennan was 29 of 48 for 430 yards and 4 touchdowns himself. Mm-hmm. Now, they absolutely abandoned the run, but they were pretty much moving the ball at will, and Missouri kept handing it to them in a prime position to capitalize.
It is absolutely amazing Missouri won this game. Like, with just that information. If Missouri plays a cleaner game, is this game even close?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Missouri should have won this game by 3 touchdowns maybe.
If they don't turn the ball over 5 times, then yeah, they probably do.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, even though LSU's offense was performing well, there's no way they score 41 points without all those freebie yards.
Yeah,
from
you're
the
right
turnovers.
though. Miles Brennan was impressive. They have a tight end and a wide receiver both that had incredible games. And I was really thinking we may not have an answer for these guys, and we kind of didn't, but we just, I guess, stopped them just enough to get what we needed. But those guys are very talented. Yeah,
Gilbert is the tight end. He had 6 receptions for 97 yards and a touchdown. Marshall, the wide receiver, 11 catches, 235 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Should get him my fantasy team.
Seriously. Almost 4 touchdowns. We'll get to that in just a second.
Yes, we will.
Now, up until what we're about to talk about, Mizzou's defense, they were okay.
They were good enough.
Yes.
To weather the storm.
Nick Bolton did have 11 tackles, 3 pass deflections. One of those in particular.
We're going to talk about that.
Anything else you want to say before we get to the end here with Mizzou's defense in particular?
Not really. I mean, the D-line was bad. I mean, they were fine. I mean, they got some pressure on the quarterback every once in a while. They hit him a few times. LSU did not, for whatever reason, did not run the ball at all. So that was really nice that our D-line didn't have to be tested in that way.
Well, Kyle, they ran the ball 20 times for 49 yards or 2.5 yards per carry.
Okay, so good job.
But it's very forgettable.
Good job
rushing performance.
Yeah, Nick Bolton, obviously incredible. The safeties, I mean, they had a very tough job.
Oh yeah,
covering who they had to cover in that game.
Yeah, the secondary in general.
Yeah,
there were some plays though where it was like the Missouri's defensive line was actually getting some pressure for a change, but Miles Brennan was really good at just kind of rolling out of the pocket and staying poised and keeping his eyes downfield. And, there were just a couple plays where I thought, okay, this is going well. And then all of a sudden it would be a huge pass completion for LSU. And one in particular, the one in the corner of the end zone for the touchdown, where Brennan was kind of scrambling to the sideline and threw to the opposite corner. And it was just basically wide open. And they had to review it for some reason. I thought it was pretty obvious it was a touchdown live, but luckily we're able to take a second look at those things. And upon further review, it was clearly a touchdown. But that play in particular was one where I was just like, yikes, how can it's not like he's standing back there. It's not like you're having to cover for like 4 or 5 seconds. He's doing a good job of extending the play and giving his wide receivers an opportunity to get open. But man, I guess we can just chalk it up to excellent wide receivers, very athletic players. But it was still just kind of disappointing to see the defensive line almost make plays and LSU's offense just go ahead and execute anyway.
Mm-hmm. Cam, what do you think about the track and Faroe Field?
Okay, so you mentioned that because on that exact play where the touchdown catch was made, the LSU player took a few steps out of bounds and immediately slipped and fell on his back.
Completely wiped out.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel any connection with the track?
Absolutely not.
I know a lot of Mizzou fans who have been fans for a really long time feel attached to the track. They feel that the little mascot guy has to ride
The mascot guy, his name's Truman.
Truman has to ride.
What's he ride?
Like ambulance or something around, spraying the crowd.
It's a fire truck.
It's a fire truck. Yeah.
Yes, we like that.
We do like that.
Come on. However,
so it sounds like the track has to stay.
Well, does it need to be a surface that people slip on? No. Can it be some sort of surface that a cleat can depress into?
Yes.
So as to not be slippery.
Yes, I agree. The track is questionable. Not really sure it's necessary.
I'm assuming there's no track and or field actually performed on it.
I would be shocked.
It's missing the proper lineage. But yeah, I think, it doesn't really make much sense to me. But we see this all over football, honestly. Other stadiums, we see it in the NFL where players are running to the sideline. There's stuff way too close to them.
Random garbage.
Like
camera
carts,
crew stuff.
Yes, there's benches that just seem way too close and they plow into it. So,
like random bystanders that just get taken out.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit funny, but also kind of scary.
Yes. They seem to recover well, though. Like
Sometimes.
almost always. They just pop back up better than the football player that just took a hit.
Remember that one time when Matty Mock totally took out the old ball coach whenever we were playing South Carolina a few years ago?
Yes, I do remember that.
Oh, my gosh. That was really funny.
Yeah.
And he was probably going to assume that. Was that intentional?
He maybe, if that was a Mizzou coach on the Mizzou sideline, maybe he would have done something slightly different. Maybe tried to avoid him a little bit
Without
more.
saying it was intentional, I'll agree with that.
Okay. All right. Get some kind of surface on that track that's not so slippery. Easy. All right, Kyle, you ready to talk about that goal line stand?
I'm so ready.
I've watched that probably 10, 15 times now since it happened live, specifically the last play of the game. But where to even begin here? So LSU, whole game, moving the ball at will. And the series before, when Missouri had the ball, I texted you and I said, I'd love a 7-minute game-winning drive. Now, they did take the lead, but it didn't take anything close to 7 minutes. So that gave LSU the ball with every opportunity to go down the field and score. And for some reason, the announcers were surprised that LSU was taking their time. But I thought
it was a very important drive for them.
Yeah.
That's what the announcer said, at least.
Right. Yeah, good point. The other announcer
Good point,
yeah. They did everything perfect the entire drive. They were using time exactly how they should have. Why would they? There's not really any incentive there to try to go 2 for 1 or something.
No, absolutely not. And nobody can stop it. Neither team can stop the other. So why give Missouri any time on the clock at all?
Yeah.
It seemed almost nightmarishly poetic that LSU would engineer the most beautiful drive that would take up every second on the clock and would score a touchdown to win the game.
Oh, yeah.
And that basically looked like what was exactly was going to happen.
Yes.
They got the ball in the one with 40-something seconds left.
Yeah, and not only did I think they were going to immediately punch it in, probably on first down, I was okay with it.
Yeah, in fact, I was hoping that they would allow them to do it. And, even if you are at LSU, even if Missouri just lets you walk in, 44 seconds or whatever it was is still probably not enough time.
Right.
To do anything.
Yeah.
Even in that game.
Yeah, I was pretty...
It was pretty much like this is over no matter what happens here.
Yeah. However, Missouri stopped him for a loss on first down, stopped him for no gain on second down, and now it's 3rd and goal with no time left.
Yeah.
Just enough time for 2 plays, basically. And now it's all in on this stop.
Is this when you were okay, we might be able to do this. When did that happen for you?
In about 2 plays.
In 2 plays from
yes.
So
yeah,
we'll
get there
after it was over.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll tell you.
All right.
That's when I was confident.
Okay,
that they were going to be able to do this. Now, on 3rd down, Nick Bolton did give me some confidence.
It's beautiful.
What a play! I mean, he had 3 pass deflections in this game. One of them on 3rd and goal, when their monster of a tight end was going to be wide open to just walk into the end zone. And I thought, when you're watching something live, you don't quite see all the pieces coming together like you can when you're watching replay after replay. It was over.
Yeah. There's truly incredible spatial awareness by Bolton to be able to take the correct angle on that.
The angle, the timing, everything was perfect. He just played it absolutely perfectly to bat the ball away.
I probably wouldn't change anything about how this game went, but if I could change anything, how cool would that have been if he just caught that ball and just ran it back for a touchdown, or just caught it at all? It would have been so sick.
I feel like he would have caught it and immediately just taken a knee, because he did come up limping a little bit after that play.
Yeah.
However, in proper Nick Bolton, true son, every Mizzou fan's going to love them for the rest of their lives fashion, he said after the game, when he was asked about potentially not feeling too great after that play, he said something like, "Pain is temporary, wins are forever."
I can't love this man any more than I already do. It's like a brother to me. Coach Drinkwitz called him a warrior, basically. Yeah. I mean, that's just absolutely a warrior's mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he truly is going to be an outstanding player in the NFL someday. And
someday soon.
I don't think that about a lot of Missouri players, to be honest. But Nick Bolton truly has the mindset, has the ability and the talent to do that.
Yeah, incredible play. So that sets up 4th down, and Joshua Bledsoe makes an incredible play of his own. And they tried to go back to Marshall for his 4th touchdown of the game.
Why not?
And it was a good play. The quarterback put it on the money. The receiver's hands were right there waiting for that ball, and Bledsoe just knocked it away at the last second. Fully extended to just barely get a piece of the ball. And that's when I really felt confident that Missouri was going to win this one.
Even after that, I was like, any flags? Yeah. Okay, we're good. I mean, I had something in my hands that for some reason that I was kind of fiddling with, and whatever it was, I think it was like a pen.
Just nervously fidgeting.
Just exactly this pen. I literally spiked it on the ground. I think Hannah was filming me, and my wife Hannah was filming me. I didn't even know why, or I didn't know that she was.
Where's this footage?
Until after the fact. She said she forgot to hit record. She was behind me. She was like, "I was trying to film you." I'm like,
as much as I want to make fun of her for that, I have forgotten to hit record on this very podcast once.
Yes, you have. That's okay.
We'll just let that slide, Hannah, this time.
Yeah.
Next time I'm going to need that reaction shot for the YouTube video.
But overwhelmed with joy. I'm not really sure it hit me until later that night, though, how special of a moment this was. And watching some of the social media coverage of the locker room celebration, and just really taking the time to analyze okay, what was everybody, what is every single player doing on this play? And I was looking at their celebration, and I was just legitimately becoming emotional, just thinking about everything these players have overcome to get to this moment, and even the fact that we're playing football at all. And just I know LSU isn't the team that they've been recently, but just to get a victory against the defending national champion is unbelievable. And just kind of even confirming Coach Drinkwitz being here, just all of these things wrapped up in one was just kind of overwhelming for me when I really thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, watching the replay, kind of like you said, just watching every player that you can, the whole bench just erupting, and the few people that were actually in the stands, hearing them erupt. I mean, that's what I was doing at home too, just yelling. I don't know what I yelled, but that I was home alone, so nobody was there to film me. But yes, that reaction, and I can just feel and hear Mizzou fans all over the country watching that game have that same reaction. And we've seen that now, the Mizzou social media is getting engagement like they've never seen. and everybody's pumped coming off of that win. And there is something to be said about, even though LSU is probably going to have a down year, it doesn't matter if they only win 3 games the rest of the season, or total. LSU I'm talking about. That's still LSU. And honestly, there is still, I think Mizzou players, coaches, and rational fans don't really acknowledge the Missouri doesn't belong in the SEC. But there's that troll argument that still exists always.
Oh, yeah.
Even though Missouri won back-to-back SEC East division championships and went to the SEC championship twice and was a quarter away from going to the national championship game, beating an SEC brand name like LSU, I mean, it's the equivalent of beating Texas and Oklahoma back in Big 12 days. It's just not something you can count on doing ever.
Yeah. Even in a down year for them.
Right. And like coaches, if a coach lasts a long time at a place like Missouri, I'm thinking about like Gary Pinkel, when he would play Texas or Oklahoma, you would always see Pinkel record versus OU in his time at Mizzou. It was not a good record. Same with Texas. And Missouri, since joining the SEC, they're not going to have a good record against Alabama, not going to have a good record against LSU, Auburn, probably Georgia. But when you can pull off an upset against the brand names of the SEC, it's just going to be remembered for a long time. Honestly, it's going to be remembered in them LSU being in the SEC West, where you just don't get that opportunity very often. You know, the next time Missouri plays LSU, that's going to be in the back of their minds, and that the Mizzou players are going to know we can play with this team, we can beat this team.
Yeah, it was like the first time LSU had ever been to Columbia, Missouri. That's pretty crazy.
So exciting. And Coach Drinkwitz, I mean, he did something in this game by pulling this off that, I don't know, I was trying to think about, this is the biggest win for Mizzou football since what? I mean,
like Georgia 2013?
Or A&M to clinch the division that year?
Yeah.
Where do you put the win against Florida from a few years back? Where do you, I don't know, that one's hard to place for me. Since it was just Florida, you know, they weren't coming off a national championship or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that Mizzou wasn't as successful that season as they were in 2013 and 2014, I think just automatically I rank it a little bit below some of those other games because it wasn't as meaningful in the full season.
Isn't that going to be the same thing this season, though?
Yes, and that's what I was about to say was, yeah, I mean, but if we're just looking at it in a vacuum, I mean, those 4 games right there are all just up there as games I'll never forget and we'll always look back fondly on. And you know, this one was just kind of surprising, though. You know, it was more surprising maybe than some of those other victories. It was just not what we expected, and just with a new coaching staff too, I think makes it even that more exciting because just the fan base just has a hope that maybe it hasn't felt in a while.
Yeah, and Coach Drinkwitz said immediately the first thing he did was call recruits, get on the phones, get some reactions, talk it up a little bit,
make
sure people were paying attention.
I think we're just, as Mizzou fans sometimes, and a lot of fan bases could probably say this, but I think we're just kind of accustomed to that heartbreaking loss. Like, you know, get so close but just fall short. And we've seen that happen so many times. But we kind of just got over a hump last weekend that we just haven't seen in a while and don't see very often. And just to feel that joy with everybody on social media and all that stuff, it's just really fun. And it's almost like a healing that, you know, Mizzou fans need sometimes. It's just to see Mizzou actually get over the hump and get the job done.
Yeah, and we as fans, and I think the players will remember that next time they are in a close game, next time they do have some mistakes but are still in it, that they can go ahead and pull it off. Well, Kyle, that was a lot of fun talking about that game. I might go watch the highlights as soon as I get home again. For the 18th time. Coach Drinkwitz said that with the week off, he is going to be recruiting. So I was thinking next week, since there's no game to recap, we'll maybe dive into the football recruiting rankings a little bit and look at the state of Missouri. It's a big class. We'll talk about some of the key names there. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. Well, then I will turn it over to producer Cameron because we're going to pick some SEC games.
All right.
See if Kyle can extend his lead on me. I'm not comfortable with this. This is not a place I've been very often in the 2 years that we've done this game.
Well, get used to it.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to.
Alrighty. Coming out of week 3, Kyle gained 5 points. Cameron gained 4 points. Kyle is leading 16-13 after 3 weeks.
It's not that bad.
No.
There's time.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all are freaking out like it's over.
Yeah.
Just wait till I pick some crazy upset. Maybe this week.
Oh, yeah. That's what I like to hear. We do have one less game this week because no LSU Florida, so that hurts my comeback attempt. Maybe one day the Big Ten will play football. Are they playing this year?
Eventually.
And then we'll be able to pick Nebraska every week.
3 more weeks.
We say that like every single week. Like, they playing this year?
Last I heard, I don't know.
knows?
Big Ten, they flip-flop on some issues.
Everybody else's season's halfway over.
Yeah. I think, there's still Big Ten teams like in the top 5 of the polls, even though they refuse to play football.
Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, game number 1. Number 15, Auburn at South Carolina. Auburn is a 3-point favorite.
I'm going to make you pick this one first because I want to know. I want to hear what you say here. Auburn.
I think Auburn's a little overrated.
They did beat Arkansas last week by 2.
Congratulations. I'm going to pick South Carolina here. The spread's not that big. Vegas knows it's possible. They're at home. Auburn's overrated like a lot of the time, but especially this year. Give me South Carolina. Probably regret that.
All right, I'm going to go Auburn. Give me that easy points there. Easy points.
All right, at game 2, Kentucky at number 18, Tennessee. Tennessee is a 6-point favorite.
Give me JG. JG and the Tennessee Vols.
JG, is he even? I think he's been struggling. I think their freshman quarterback actually got like first-team reps in practice.
He was Peyton Manning 2 weeks ago.
Well, that's what
That's
happens.
how it happens.
Yes, exactly. Man.
Now he's real-time Peyton Manning.
I have no faith in Kentucky to win a game, even though they destroyed.
They did last week.
Yeah, they destroyed Mississippi State.
Well, is that even a team?
Yeah, give me Tennessee, I guess. I don't like it, but man, I want to pick Kentucky there. No, it's Tennessee.
Yeah. Same. Yes.
Okay.
I'll have the same.
All right, game 3, Ole Miss at Arkansas. Ole Miss is a 2.5-point favorite.
Arkansas, according to the box score, almost beat Auburn. I don't know how close that game actually was, but it ended up being a 2-point game.
Did you just pick Arkansas or just binding?
No. I just wanted to put that.
Okay. Well, you made a little space in between, so you thought you were just like being like Arkansas.
Give me Arkansas.
All right. Give me Ole Miss.
Oh, come on.
Ole Miss's offense is going to be too much for the Barry Odom defense.
No way. I can't even say that with a straight face. Let's go Hogs.
Game number 4.
Call the Hogs right now.
No. I would never do that. That's the most. I'm sorry, but
it's treason.
It's embarrassing. Honestly,
it's horrendous.
Have you seen the video of like the actual hog calling competition? I've seen that go viral a few different times in my day.
Yes, it's really scary, actually.
Man.
Terrifying.
But I feel like Sam Pittman could probably hold his own in that competition.
He probably could.
Wow.
Anyway.
You picking Arkansas?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Give me the upset.
Oh wow.
At home. Let's go.
Alrighty, game number 4. Number 11, Texas A&M at Mississippi State. Texas A&M is a 6.5-point favorite.
Mississippi State scored 2 points.
Their offense didn't even score any points. The defense got those points.
They scored 87,000 points against LSU. and they scored 2 points against Kentucky.
Guys, Mississippi State sucks. Okay? When are you going to get that through your skulls? Give me A&M.
I'm not arguing.
Give me an A&M.
Yes, A&M as well for me, please.
Last game, big time game. Number 3, Georgia at number 2, Alabama. Alabama is a 6-point favorite.
All right, Cam. Sell me Georgia.
Oh, hold on. How is Mississippi State, how is Texas A&M not even a touchdown favorite? Because it's at Mississippi State?
Because A&M's looked a little suspect.
But they just beat Florida.
Well, yeah, but you got to look at the full body of work. Mississippi State had a
Number
random
11.
game where they exploded.
Yeah.
They are.
You saying they're both bad?
They're fraudulent, is what they are. Yeah, A&M. I really don't think that who did they just beat? Florida. If they played 10 times, they would beat Florida like 1 or 2 times.
Wow,
they got lucky.
Kyle.
It's because they had fans in the stands.
Oh yeah, no. They actually had the 12th man. I think I specifically said when we were talking about this one, no 12th man.
They had Kyle Field behind them.
They were like, hey, forget this.
Power of the
Kyle Field.
Power of the Kyle.
Wow, Kyle Field. They named that after you.
They really did.
Wow,
man.
Special. Yeah, what was up with that? They filled the upper bowl.
That was weird.
They didn't care.
No, they didn't. And it's like they tried to hide it or something. Like, why don't you just let the whole stadium be?
Yeah.
Or like disperse those people. Like, why'd you make them sit way up a mile in the air? Mile High Stadium.
Dan Mullen wasn't happy about it.
No, he was not.
All right. What are we talking about? Georgia Alabama.
Alabama.
Oh man. Yeah, sell me Georgia.
Sell you Georgia. I don't want you to pick Georgia. I think I might pick Georgia. I want to pick opposite of you so that I get some points.
All right.
But I'm picking Alabama.
I was going to say, all right, I'll pick Alabama. I was trying to get that in there really quick.
Yes, I pick Alabama. You sure you don't want Georgia?
We can't differ on too many games. I can't just throw away my lead now.
You think Georgia, there's just no chance?
I think Georgia absolutely has a chance, but I would definitely like to pick Alabama, I think. Alabama did not look all that great against Ole Miss, but
scored 63 points.
Ole Miss has an incredible offense that they're going to defeat Arkansas with this upcoming
Georgia
week.
walloped Tennessee 44-21.
That was impressive. Gotta say.
Winner of that game is going to be number 1 in the nation. I think.
Well, we'll see.
We're both picking Alabama?
Yeah.
All right. Got to start my comeback. Let's go South Carolina.
Lou Saban.
What's South Carolina's offensive coordinator name? It's something silly.
Mike Bobo.
Yeah, Mike Bobo.
You're rooting for him?
Oh, yeah, you didn't.
No. Go Auburn.
I mean, you can.
War Eagle.
You can send him your good thoughts, and that's fine.
No. Mike Bobo sucks.
Okay.
Get him out of there.
All right. Sounds good.
Let's go Auburn. Let's end this.
Y'all ready to wrap this up?
Yes.
All right, everybody. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
We sent out a shirt this week. Somebody bought one from MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
You stole his line.
Yes.
What else can they get?
Stickers. They're kind of cool too.
Yep. Your size, we might run out of your size of shirt, so get them while they're hot.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next week.